Okay, so we are going live. So allow me another minute. And this is the first time that I've taken on to broadcast this myself. And I'm not someone who's great when it comes to technology. Okay. Uh, all right. So can everyone hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. So let's begin. First of all, thank you so much for joining in once again, another week, fresh week, and what we're reading. So let's begin with a quick introduction. I am Hira Jethanandani, today your host for the Money Book Club. I'm a part of the Women on Wealth team, and I've been with this wonderful community of women since 2019. So, yeah, and I have this opportunity to be with you here today. So, a little about Women on Wealth, and we are Women on Wealth is a women-centric community. What we do is we help women learn how to take charge of their finances. And our mission at Women on Wealth is to financially educate 50 lakh women by 2030. So, a little about what this space is. So, this space, which is the online Money Book Club, and this is one of our initiatives where we want to make these financial discussions a lot more open and accessible, through the medium of books. And so here, this is a free platform. We are a safe space for women. And with the intention, we want to come together with the intention to read, discuss, and learn more about this area of money. And so the books that we pick up here, the books that we come together to read are really books on personal finance, investing, our financial habits, how do we build them, and certainly our mindset building. And our purpose is very clear. Let's really spread this financial awareness among women, taking one book at a time. So a warm welcome. And the book, hi Soja, good evening. So the book that we are here, we've picked and we've been reading for a couple of weeks is Warren Buffett, Invests Like a Girl. I am pretty much old school. I still enjoy picking these books, and hard copies is what I really enjoy, and that's what I keep going back to. So now I have a library of the money books, and that's what something that I'm really proud about. So all right, so far we've arrived pretty much. Today we're going to conclude this book, and last week we were at chapter. Uh, 13 that we read together, and we kind of decided that we will read uh, chapter 14 and 15. So yeah, so it's wonderful to see, you know, new people joining in. So yeah, someone has joined in as Rajiv. May I please know, this is a space for women, so may I please know your name, if you could please unmute yourself and please share. Could I have your actual name? This is a space exclusively for women. Okay, so hi Sakshi, good evening Soja. All right, so any one of you who got the opportunity to read through chapter 14, 15, and it'll be wonderful if you could share what did you kind of connect with, what have you gotten for yourself, and I will go back to my book, the hard copy. So chapter 14 that we actually spoke about was the book talks about is Question the Masters, and chapter 15 is talking about acting fairly and ethically. So anyone who had the opportunity to go through the book, yeah, it'll be great to hear you. Yeah. Sakshi, Gunjan, Soja, Soman, anyone who would like to share? Yes, Sakshi.
Hi Hira, I have joined for the first time. Sorry, but I didn't know about the book, the one we are reading.
Okay, so this is the book, Sakshi, that we're reading. Warren Buffett Invests Like a Girl. Yeah, this is the book.
Okay.
Okay, so is this the first time that, Sakshi, you've come for this particular book
Yeah,
reading?
I have. Yes. I have come for the first time, Hira,
Brilliant.
for the
All
Money
right.
Book Club reading.
Warm welcome. Thank you so much. And it's so wonderful to have each one of you who are joining in for the first time. Thank you for this keen interest in wanting to know and, you know, what this space is all about. And thank you so much also for, coming in to really engage and look at how different ways in which we can really learn about money and build our awareness and consciousness. Great. Hi, welcome, Chavi. Okay, so let me take you guys through, very briefly, a quick summary of both these chapters. So what I really got from the chapter when it says question the masters. So this particular, chapter is really talking about that, how just because someone's an acknowledged investment guru or master doesn't mean that there isn't a better way. So, hey, Shivani, welcome. Thank you for joining. Okay, so I've just begun to summarize chapter 14 and 15 that we had taken on last week. Okay, and so this particular chapter, what I got is Warren is talking about, like we all know, that he looked up to Graham Bell as his guru, and how in this chapter he's talking about that Graham had his own approach to investing. Okay. And Charlie Munger, his dear friend, also had his own approach to investing. However, Warren was very clear that a portfolio, he doesn't need to really look at a portfolio which has many companies. Okay, it has to be a very crisp portfolio, and he identified like 7 stocks that he would study and build his portfolio. So, and that is what is his approach to value investing, and that's what this book really talks about. So, and further, he's saying that he could identify and connect with this approach to value investing through his own learning and the confidence that he built in his own investing and the kind of returns that he created. So further, in the book, it talks about that how learning never stops. So even after you think you figured the best way to invest, continue to keep studying. And that's what we really get from Warren's life so far, how he's continuing to study. So in case any one of you wants to add any point that you've gathered, please feel free. And the next chapter, which is chapter 15, what it really talks about is act fairly and ethically. And throughout the book, the author time and again has been talking about that, how Warren, completely believes in investing in those companies where people really matter, where people, because he believes in valuing people, valuing relationships. And when he identifies companies, he's also looking at how is the management. So this chapter really talks about that. He's saying, look for companies that communicate in an open and honest way. You as an owner deserve to be treated that way. So really focusing on ensuring that the management is absolutely open and honest. And one of the instances in the book really talks about that, how Warren himself, when he writes his letters to his shareholders, how openly he communicates with the shareholders. And I could really connect with this this paragraph on the second page of the chapter, where he says that Buffett himself is writing to his shareholders, where he says that we will be candid in reporting to you, emphasizing the pluses and minuses, important in appraising the business value. And our guideline is to tell you the business facts that we would want to know if our positions were reversed. And the CEO who misleads others in public may eventually mislead himself in private. And it so clearly talks about how much he believes in communicating openly, and he believes in transparency as the key value when you are looking at picking up that company and investing in it. And the second point that I could connect from this chapter says it's possible to find companies where employees, shareholders, and customers all win and choose to make for winning investments. So it's absolutely possible to identify such companies. That's what, in brief, I could pick up from this chapter. So yeah, as I shared that we will be concluding this book today, and we have the 16th chapter, which is the final chapter. So we could take this opportunity to, read that chapter together. And I invite you guys to please share, who would like to read. And I will just take another minute while I share this chapter on screen. Hi, Sneha, welcome. All right, so here we are. And can everyone see the screen? Is my screen visible? Yeah. All right, thank you, Sakshi. Okay, so who would like to begin? Who would like to go ahead? I'm inviting you to please share on, please share on chat who would like to read, or you could unmute yourself and please share that you would like to take this on. Can I invite Sakshi, Suman, Soja, who would like to go ahead? Chavi, Sneha.
I'll start.
Okay, and is that Sakshi?
Yeah, Hira, it's me.
Okay, great. Please go ahead, Sakshi. Thanks so much.
Okay. Chapter 16, Foolish Investing Principle 101. Okay, now that you know just about everything there is to know about Warren Buffett and his feminine temperament, let's take a minute to recap the lessons we have learned from each of the 8 feminine investing traits as well as our 3 Buffett-esque principles. Then we will talk about how to take all the knowledge we have learned so far and apply it to a foolish investment philosophy. Female investors tend to first trade less than men do. Remember, you are buying a piece of an actual business. Take the long view. Be patient. Second, exhibit less overconfidence. Men think they know more than they do, while women are more likely to know what they don't know. That's absolutely correct. Buffet's sphere of understanding may be different from your own. Think about and learn what your own circle of competence cover. Stick to it no matter what. Third, shun risk more than male investors do. Insist on an appropriate margin of safety. Avoid debts as much as possible. Stay within your circle of competence. Do your homework before investing overseas. Fourth, be less optimistic and therefore more realistic than their male counterparts. Be level-headed about your investments and the market at large. Learn not to be excited by market swings to the upside or devastated by market drops. You are in charge of Mr. Market. Don't let him boss you around. Quoting Buffett, when investing, pessimism is your friend. Euphoria, the enemy. Fifth, put in more time and effort researching possible investment, considering every angle and detail, as well as considering alternate points of view. Read, read, read. Don't forget about your circle of competence. Avoid confirmation bias. Seek out information that contradicts your conclusions. not just information that reinforces them. Sixth, be more immune to peer pressure and tend to make decisions the same way regardless of who is watching. Be willing to be a contrarian, as uncomfortable as it may be. Take Buffet's word to the heart. Be greedy when others are fearful, and fearful when others are greedy. Live by your own inner scorecard. Seventh, learn from their mistakes. You are going to make mistakes. We all do. So don't beat yourself up when you slip up. Assess what happened. Did you miss something? Or did the market condition change? Think about what you can reasonably do differently in the future. If you bought stocks in a company you didn't truly understand, for example, vow not to do that again. 8. Thanks to good old biology, have less testosterone than men do, making them less willing to take extreme risks, which in turn could lead to less extreme market cycles. While not a trait of female investing temperament, the outcome of this investing style is important. Therefore, remember that female investors produce results that are more consistent and persistent. And in the hedge fund world, female managed hedge funds outperform comparable male managed hedge funds, and they don't suffer from the market drops as severely.
Cool.
Anyone
Thank you
else
so
want
much.
to read?
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Sakshi. So, yes, we've completed these 8 points, and, what is connecting with you. And this is the final chapter. Are any of these points you feel you have now been able to connect with, relate with? It'll be great to hear from some of you.
Hi, Hira, Soja here.
Hey, Soja. Hi. Good evening.
This is my first session. I'm sorry, I was unable to, unmute myself early.
Sure.
First session, and I managed to make it today.
Okay.
I'm working as well, though it is my working hour. I took, time out.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Yeah.
And I have not started investing. I am seriously thinking about this for the past 2 years, and somehow I ended up in Wow, with Wow, and so these are like good insights. I would complete my money gym program and then would start investing is what I feel like. And these are I can't comment more about it because I'm still learning, right? Still trying to understand and make sense out of it. But then what I take home is that we should be really matured when you are in the market, and if you are buying stocks, it's like we need to be really assured, and if we make a decision, even if it fails, we need to be able to understand where did we go wrong, and for that we need to understand what are the basics, like how do we understand if what went wrong. We should have that basic rules, what all to be checked for. So this is my takeaway from this read, Hira.
Okay.
Thank you, Sakshi.
Thank you so much. So you're if I'm fairly aware, Soja, you're just about to complete your Money Gym program. Am I right?
Yeah, I'm in the batch of September. I'm in the September batch. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you're about to begin in that case. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. Right. And I'm so glad that you've joined us and you've already begun, to really look at what does it mean to invest in equity, and that's what this book talks about. Great. Yeah. Anyone else who would like to share what have you so far connected with, and when either you are already investing or even if you are beginning to invest, are there some points that have really connected with you and you would ensure you would take that on?
Here I like the point, be greedy when others are fearful.
Okay.
And be fearful when others are greedy.
Right. So what do you connect with How do you connect with that point?
So I
Does-
will be like, I should be more conscious when others are going to falling for a particular stock. So I should be more conscious about it rather than it's like not a rat race. If everyone is buying that stock, so I should search before investing in that particular stock.
Absolutely. Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. And that's why he's saying, that don't get carried away by peer pressure. Don't get carried
Peer
away by
pressure.
Mr. Market, by the rise and fall of Mr. Market. Live by your own inner scorecard. And I could really connect with that, what does it really mean? Which are the companies which are in your circle of competence? Do you understand the business? Do you, have you fairly researched and studied about that company? And, don't be in a haste, right? Just identify what you can connect with and then decide to invest. Yeah. So that's really what
Like it's mom, when a new mom to be, we study about pregnancy, the future, and everything. Uh, then only the what works is our instinct at the end with the kid. In the same way, we research thoroughly, and go with our instinct also that it's going to be like this.
right. Wow. Okay. Yes. That's also another way of looking at it. Thank you so much for sharing, Sakshi. All right. So let's continue. Who would like to come in and read from here? Soja, Suman, Sonika.
Yeah, I can read, Hira.
Okay, Soja, please come in. Yes.
Yeah, so I'll start from here. While not a trait of the female investing temperament, the outcome of this investing style is important. Therefore, remember that female investors produce results that are more consistent and persistent. And in the hedge fund world, female managed hedge funds outperform comparable male managed hedge funds, and thus don't suffer from the market drops as severely. Ignore anyone who tells you throwing darts at a newspaper is the same as intelligent analysis. I didn't get though that. Ignore anyone who tells you throwing darts at a newspaper is the same as intelligent analysis. A good defense is just as valuable as a good offense. Stick to a system that's logical and works, and you too could build a lengthy and impressive track record. And our key Buffett centric principles are first one, value and cultivate your relationships with people. A business is only as strong as the people running it. Read up on the management of companies you are considering investing in. Look for smart, open, loyal, fair executives you can admire. Don't be afraid to put people before profit. Buffett isn't. The second point, learn from the masters, but be willing to question them. The learning never stops. So even after you think you have figured out the best way to invest, keep studying. Just because someone's acknowledged investment guru or master doesn't mean there isn't a better way. You aren't committing blasphemy when you question anybody, Warren Buffett included. The third point is be fair and operate in an ethical manner. You can be good and be rich. One doesn't preclude the other. It's possible to find companies where employees, shareholders, and customers all win, and those can make for winning investments. Look for companies that communicate in an open, honest way. You, as an owner, deserve to be treated this way. Now that we have broken down the qualities and temperament that make Warren Buffett the investor he is, and we have discovered the investing traits that female investors tend to share. That's and use to edge out the boys. What more is there to it? Well, lots actually. The Motley Fool has spent years educating, amusing, and enriching investors all over the world. And while you are already well on your way to being a successful investor, you have still got more to learn. So let's jump right in. The first few principles will be familiar to you at this point, but they are important enough to touch on again. They are as follows, like buy a stock, buy a business, buy what you know. Long-term buy to hold is the way to go. Compound interest is a miraculous thing. Save to grow. Invest now, get your assets allocated. Diversify. Yes, diversify. What? Me sell? Yeah. Is that fine, Hira?
Yes, absolutely. And considering these 9 principles, and further in this chapter, these 9 principles are explained. In the interest of time, maybe what I would like to do is just skip a couple of them. And here I would like you to directly take on this second point. I think we could read this.
Should I read it?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Sure.
So this is the second, one of the principles that we saw earlier, buy what you know. We also believe, as does Buffett, in staying within your circle of competence. Another famous investment mind, Peter Lynch, who ran the incredibly successful Magellan Fund for Fidelity for years, popularized the phrase, buy what you know. And that works here too. Essentially, you want to be able to understand what you are investing in. It follows behind what we just talked about. If you believe you are buying a piece of an actual business, and you are, then you should be able to explain what that business does and understand how it makes money. For beginning investors, this often means buying shares of companies that sell products you use or know well. Look around you. There are investment opportunities and possibilities all around. The danger of going too far afield of what you can reasonably understand raises the chance that you'll invest in something you can't adequately follow and feel comfortable owning over the long term. And that's what this is all about, long term stock ownership. The key takeaway is understand what you are investing in. It lowers your risk when you do so. Yeah.
Thank you, Soja. So yes, I think this is a great point, and anyone would like to share, what are the kind of companies? I mean, this is wonderful, a beautiful insight to really, as beginners, what do we need to, what are the companies we should look for? As clearly as it says that, buying shares of companies that sell products that you use or know well, which is the, the sector that we know really well, each one of us. Who would like to take a guess? Which are the companies? And you step into your kitchen, you step into any space in your house, and you will be able to identify products from those companies.
We have a lot of companies, but like for example, Voltas, like Godrej, Reliance, right? It's not even the kitchen, but then the Reliance companies, then pharma industry, right? When we buy, yeah. So all these are, we know they are in the market.
Correct.
But yeah, a lot more to understand.
True, that's absolutely. And as Sneha, you rightly put, yes, the FMCG sector companies, Nestle, then we know Asian Paints. So these are the companies that we are aware of, right? The auto companies that we are aware of, Maruti, so many. So these sectors we are aware of, we are familiar with, they are known, right? Technology, so we know what's Infosys, we know FMCG sector, HUL, we know these companies. So then it becomes, the familiarity just opens up. And Sonika says she's a banker and she would any day prefer from the banking sector to pick up ICICI, HDFC, any of these. So it's very important to buy, to invest in what you know, because then you would be more interested to research, read up more, about that company. Yeah. So taking this further, I think the second point, I'm moving forward. Right. And who would like to come in so we can, move on to the second point, which says long-term buy to hold is the way to go. Who would like to read? Sneha, Sonika, Suman.
Yeah, I can read.
Sure, Sneha. Yeah, go ahead. Okay. Yes.
Speaking of the long term, this is another facet of Buffet's investing philosophy that we strongly believe in at the Motley Fool. Buying a stock only to sell it days later, or worse, minutes or hours later, does not interest us. That's a small, foolish way to invest. When you're thinking like a business owner, you're thinking long term. Individual investors also have tremendous advantage when it comes to being able to effectively stay put and avoid trading. Unlike mutual funds or big institutional investors, which are constantly dealing with withdrawals and are therefore often forced to sell in order to generate cash, the little guys and girls like us can instead afford to hunker down with our stocks, keeping them near and dear for years on end. Don't let this imported advantage pass you by. Additionally, when you buy and sell more than you should, you rack up trading costs and tax bills. Even supposing you were gifted with an uncanny ability to be a short-term trader, the bite that those costs would take from your returns would be painful. It's one of the reasons women tend to show better. Okay, where is it? It's one of the reasons women tend to show better results than men do, since they trade less than men. We believe in long-term buy to hold. That doesn't mean you buy stocks and then never look at them ever again. We aren't suggesting that, but with the, you can scroll down here. Okay. But with the proper mindset that you're buying a piece of a business that you will likely own for years, we believe you should instead monitor your investments to keep an eye on them and make sure nothing drastic has changed. A helpful tip for putting this into practice is to write down all the reasons you bought a stock at the time you bought it. Document. Think about what factors could lead you to sell and jot these down too. It's inevitable that you will sell stocks in your lifetime. Buffett does it. Everyone does it. The important thing is not to do it for the wrong reasons. There will be times when a company's outlook and circumstances change enough that you decide it's time to part with your shares. For example, but it can be difficult to remember what exactly compelled you to buy the company in the first place. If you have a record of your thinking, you have a framework to start from. Check in on your companies at least quarterly. Read up on how they are doing and assess what's going on with them versus your documented reasons for buying in the first place. Our goal, hope, and wish, like Buffet's, is to hold a stock forever. But that doesn't mean you should completely ignore it once you own it. Your money, your capital is precious, and it's up to you to ensure that it's invested in the best possible places. Key takeaway: don't invest and then never glance your stocks way again. Keep up with the business performance of them, but don't obsess on the stock price. That's no way to judge a company's progress.
Sorry about this. I just stopped the share. I kind of bring it up again, and maybe we could, any pointers that you really took away for yourself, especially when we're looking at, buying for the long term. Yeah. Anything that connected with anyone? Are you someone who is investing, and have you ever tried documenting, has that practice, have you taken on that practice, or have you seen anyone really doing that around you?
I started investing, Hira. So yeah, I think documenting is a very nice practice. I should start doing it. That is something, yeah.
Yeah. So if you, and I really love this, it's a great tip to really identify, okay, why am I buying? Why am I investing again this month? Okay. And also when I am wanting to, sell that stock. So why would I do that? Because it's very important that I am actually building my own mind frame, my own mindset around when am I taking a particular decision. And that's what, the author is talking about. And I found that really a very valued strategy, a valued approach in how I am building myself to make these decisions. Yeah. Anyone else who would like to share anything? Or maybe we could move to the next principle. Yes, who would like to read from here? And definitely this is interesting. Yeah. Okay, so I'm calling out. So Sneha and Soja and Sakshi have contributed. So we do have Suman and yeah, Suman, can I invite you to read?
Yes, I may read.
Okay, awesome. Please go ahead.
Compound interest is a miraculous thing. Another reason to be long-term focused is the amazing power of compound interest. Like kudzu or bacteria, compound interest just keeps growing over time. The concept is not complicated for something so powerful. When you have money invested and you are earning a rate of return on it, so say your stock portfolio gives up 6% a year, and then you think about the length of time you have your money earning that each and every year the amount you have is growing. So the base amount you have for the following year is even greater. Okay, so maybe that it is complicated. Let's try a table. Is it to be read?
Not really. I mean, I will just skim through. So you could read this last line and then I'll take this forward.
Based on the stock market's historical return.
Yeah.
Yeah. From remember
Yes.
that is
Yes.
$1,200 you did nothing else with. You didn't add any money over the years, and it grew all on its own to 37,691 over 40 years. This table brings up another good point. Investing in stocks over the long term will bring you a much better return than other vehicles like savings accounts or money market funds. Given that you are reading a book about investing in the stock market, this probably isn't the news to you, but it is worth pointing out nonetheless. Now let's look at another scenario that demonstrates the power of compound interest. Let's say you start with 1,200 in your first year of saving, and then each and every year you add 1,200 to your original stash. Where do you end up now?
Right. So very briefly, what this point is really helping us understand, and through this table, it's really helping us understand that these are various instruments of investments, and the initial investment is $1,200, and thereafter, during a span of these 40 years, in a block of 5 years, what is the amount? How much is it growing up to? And as we see the amount here, when you have invested this 1,200 amount in the stock market, this is what it adds up to, right? Now, the author is taking us to the next table and talking about the power of compounding. And this is really how the table looks like, right? Yeah, please go ahead, Suman.
Woo! Now that is more like it. And to improve upon that cool, you could soak away more than 1,200 a year over the period, more than double it to starting with 2,800 a year and adding 2,800 a year, and you are looking at $1 million after 40 years. Once you come to appreciate the full power of compound interest, you will see why it is smart to be invested over the long haul. You need time to make compound interest really work for you. The power it has to build and build and build becomes magnified only with time. Key takeaway: take advantage of the full power of compound interest by giving your investments time to grow.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, yes, what is everyone taking away from this point where the author is talking about that, compound interest is a miraculous thing? How are you seeing your investments really compounding? What does this example share with you?
What I only know is the PF and the PPFs now at the points. But
Right.
yeah, this is amazing. But yeah, if stocks is definitely the place, but then we need to be really careful and know why we are doing it, right? These are very insightful sessions. I must, appreciate for doing you all for doing this, Hira. Um, such an insight. Yeah, thank you.
Sure, that's great. Thank you so much. So yes, what is very important, absolutely, Sneha. Stay invested for the long time in stocks. Now, especially for I'm sure all of you are pretty young, and so what's very important is when is this? Who decides this long term? Okay, when does this long term really begin? So that's why we invite, the sooner you start, the better. And if you've gone back to the previous chapters of this book, where the author is actually asking Warren, when is a good age to start? And he says the sooner the better. And then the author is asking, so does that mean, you start at the age of 11? And he says, yes. So as soon as possible, because you want to capitalize on the maximum time that you can invest, because that's where the power of compounding shows its impact. Now, if you take a look, that it is only 1,200 per month that the author is talking about, $1,200, right? So it could be as small as 1,000 rupees a month that you would be investing in, say, for instance. Now, look at what just gets generated, in a span of 40 years. And that is the power of compounding that we must be really aware of. And hence, yes, for all of you, whoever really is focused on that, yes, I must be financially free. I want to be financially free by this time, in 10 years, in 20 years, then this is really the key. Investing in equity and investing soon, right? Yeah, so that's really what the book talks about. Okay, let's move on. In case anyone wants to share anything, please do jump in. Okay, so let's move on to, I would actually invite you to, yes, I would invite you to please read this point, which is invest now. This would really give you more clarity. Who would like to take this?
I can go ahead.
Go ahead, Soja. Great. Yeah.
Invest now. Okay,
Yes.
so you have cleared out any credit card debt, saved enough for an emergency fund, and have come to love, appreciate, and respect your new best friend, compound interest. You are ready. You understand you are buying a piece of an actual business and you are in this thing for the long haul. Or are you? Ask yourself how quickly you're going to need access to the money you have saved up and want to invest. Looking to buy a house in 2 years and need this cash for a down payment? Don't invest it in the stock market then. Kid going off to get an Ivy League education or even a junior college in the next town of education? Next fall, don't invest. Trying to buy the RV of your dreams in a few years? Don't invest. Sorry to be so negative, but this one is important. Only invest money in the stock market when you won't need it for at least 5 years or more. Remember the nature of Ben Graham's fable, Mr. Market character? He can be depressed for years, then happy for a couple of months, then sad again. He's all over the place, this guy. You do not want any money you need in the short term to be at his mercy. Don't do it. Over time, the stock market is where it's at. But the key here is that you have to be committed to letting your money be yanked about by Mr. Market in the short term. If you need that money soon, stick it in a savings account or other less risky vehicle somewhere, like a certificate of deposit or money market fund. Taking the long view, Mr. Market looks less crazy. The bumps and curves and crying fits. He can be so annoying when he's like that. All smooth out, but it takes time. For long periods, the stock market really is the best place to be invested. You just have to be ready and able to take the bad along with the good. Key takeaway is don't even think about investing money in the market that you need in less than 5 years. Seriously, don't even think about it. That's great.
Right. Okay. So what are we taking away from this point? What are we getting for ourselves?
So if the money that you have in hand, if you really need it for something that you really, as per your prioritization, and you invest it in stock market, and we know that we have to have a long association in the market to make the most out of it, then don't invest. This is what I am taking away. If you have any immediate needs as per the priority, and it can depend people to people, right?
Right. Right. Okay. Right, Suja. All right. Anyone else? Okay. So what this point is really talking about that, really prepare yourself to invest in the market. And the author is also talking about the Mr. Market character and all that is how Ben Graham had talked about the rise and fall of the market and gave it an identity as calling it Mr. Market, and really talking about that how temperamental is Mr. Market, which means the stock market is so temperamental. It could just rise or it could just fall. Now, in that, the possibilities that you may lose your money. So really be very wise, aware that if you need the money for some short-term goals, then do not invest in equity. However, if you want to generate, you want to build your fund for long-term goals, like your retirement fund, your child's education, which may be due post 10, 12, 15 years. So really then take the advantage of starting the investment now and beginning sooner than later, so that your long-term goals can truly be funded through the equity returns. And that's really what this talks about. And this is especially also, I would say, for those who, think that, the market is really risky. So, we talk about risk only when we haven't really, taken care of, the risk. I mean, there is only risk when we haven't adequately taken care of what needs to be taken care of. So if the short-term goals need to be taken care of, then, start putting the money aside. They could be in debt funds. It could be in different other instruments where the risk is lesser. But then, yes, when over a long term, we are looking at generating returns, and definitely investing in the stock market is the key. Yeah. So moving forward, okay, I will just quickly. Okay, so these are some of the key investors who are sharing some pointers, and maybe we could, we have another 6 minutes, and maybe we could just read for another 3-4 minutes and then perhaps conclude. Or if any one of you would like to, really conclude and share, actually, let's do this. All right, I'm pausing this here. Just that's okay with everyone. And in conclusion, perhaps each one of us maybe could share what are we taking away from this particular book, and as an investor, what is that one thing that you are taking on, and how has this book really helped you become a better investor? Yeah, that'll be great. Who would like to share?
I haven't read the whole book, Kira, but just this chapter, I see that not to have too many debts, credit card debt especially, and stay invested in stocks for a long time, unless you need the money for any immediate purpose. So then stay invested for a long time. Do your research, document, and just stay invested. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Sneha. Great. Okay. wishing you a great investing journey.
Thank you.
All right. Yes. Inviting Sakshi, Suman, Soja. Wow. I mean, I have all of you, yeah, the letter S is really the letter of the day. All right. Yes, Soja, Suman. Who would like to go ahead?
Yeah, for me, these are insights. Of course, I'll put this into use when I'm seriously preparing. But one thing is that what caught my attention is that yeah, I want to make some money, I want to invest, but I can't afford to forget what I invested in. Right? That periodic check is very important. That's one thing. And
Hmm.
second thing is of course we can benefit from others wisdom, but then we need to keep learning, and we need to really be aware of what is our um, uh, competence level and how do we understand these, and document why we are starting the investment. And we should also know when we are going to sell it, or when we're taking a decision, okay, to discontinue, why is it so that even if this say, this situation changes, we all are humans. This is now my interpretation for myself. Like, I don't feel bad about it, right? So the stocks can really perform later as well. So I need to be, this documentation helps us to be okay. So and look at the companies, basically what we understand, how if we can understand what they are doing, then that's the best thing to start with, and then probably do our research if we want to advance to other stocks. Yeah, this is my
Awesome.
message.
Awesome. Great. And I like the way you've identified the key points and took away what would you focus on when you are looking at uh, beginning your investment journey. Great. Thank you so much. Yes, Suman, Sakshi.
Yeah, though I have not read the book, still
Mhm.
I got many insights today, like long-term investing and
Right.
value investing. Learning never stops, and we should keep continue to study, keep in touch. Long-term investment plus keep in touch. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. All right. Yeah. So you've really gathered that, yes, long-term investing is the key here. Awesome. That's great. Yes, Sakshi, inviting you. Please share. How has this book made you a better investor?
Yeah, I think learning will never be stopped. As Warren Buffett said, you keep learning,
Right.
continue to learn. Even if you reach at your best, you have get your best 7 stocks, as Warren Buffett has decided, but still he never stops. He keeps on learning, he keeps on researching, he keeps on discovering. So I think it's our in investment. I think we should also keeps on learning. We should go ahead with learning, learning, and learning.
Wow. Okay. All right. Okay, brilliant. So thank you so much, everyone. And this was so insightful. And I would truly like to acknowledge that, as some of you shared, that this is the first book club reading session that you have joined. Thank you so much. And yes, this book isn't really that easy. And yes, it could really be and especially when we start talking about stock investing, maybe sometimes I also felt this book was slightly repetitive. But yes, I am absolutely assured, even for myself, what I'm taking on, that this journey has just begun. And how I see myself now as an investor is someone who's far more confident in trusting my own self, allowing myself that time to build, to study more, to read up more, and build my own understanding and trust myself. Many, I think, aspects. So, yes, build my own circle of competence. A lot of it that one has here to take on. So, thank you so much. It's 7. And on this note, we are completing this book. And I'm inviting each one of you that we're next week, we're going to be picking up another book and something which is very interesting. So you all are a part of our book club on Telegram. So do look forward. Yeah, and I would invite you to guess which is the next book as we kind of post it up on Telegram. So thank you so much, and wish you a great evening ahead. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Sneha, Suman, Soja. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
And
Bye-bye.
everyone online, thank you very much for joining us here today for the book club. See you next week. Bye-bye.